Good evening, everybody. This is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. And for this afternoon's live, I am joined by the legendary, my Sancho, Brad, the side piece, and Bruce from Oregon is joining us at some point. Lauren Knighty is going to be joining us for shenanigans. But there was a release. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there is this true crime podcaster, Grizzly True Crime. She is the best in the business when it comes to getting authentic information. She submitted a FOIA request for the audio from the Madeline Soto case, for the audio from which her mom, Jenn Soto, gave an interview to the police. Now, why is that interesting? Because Stephen Stearns, everybody is well versed on who he is, this evil monster that has been charged with the murder of Madeline Soto under the most violent, suspicious, grotesque of circumstances. His case is on the way. He's facing trial. He's not going to be pleading guilty, I don't think. So that's forthcoming. But the question has been whether or not to implicate Jenn Soto, mom. And then it poses the question, to what degree does a parent owe their child? To what degree does what am I trying to say? What duty does a parent have to protect their child against intruders, stepfathers that have a fetish for teenage girls, young girls? And it was like some sick stuff that they got in. We're going to get into some of those details just so you guys can get the context of it, but you're going to want to stick around. This is going to be a crazy show. Let's get started.
Whatever you might be going through and wherever you might be, this is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. I'm here to take your mind off of things. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not giving you legal advice. We're going to sit and talk like people, as these are the candid thoughts of one practicing attorney, and it's after hours. So have a seat. Feel free to have a drink and join me. Let's get started.
All right, folks.
Cheers.
Cheers. I think that we are going to begin this episode with going through the arrest affidavits that they used to arrest Mr. Stephen Stearns. So Stephen Stearns was stepdad of Madeline Soto. And
Mom's boyfriend, I saw.
Yes, I'm going through this because a lot of my listeners, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the case, but it's always good to have a refresher. Let me just share my screen so we could get an idea of the gravity of this case. It's not for the lighthearted. You're going to want to double up on that whiskey there, Brad. No doubts.
Double. Oof. That's already 2 fingers, my friend.
We go 4 fingers over here at the Serrano household. If you're drinking, you're drinking.
Sounds like wine club.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it is one. Hey, how do I, Dominic? I found it. Never mind. Is that up on the screen?
Yep.
You see this PDF? All right. So this was the affidavit. Without giving you guys any of the other stuff. So it talks about a Detective Brian Moore, sworn law enforcement. They go into it on February 26, 2024 at approximately 8 o'clock. Redacted was reporting missing by mother. We know at this time who Redacted is. It's Madeline Soto, 13-year-old. She was a middle schooler at the time. The mother advised her daughter's stepfather, Stephen Stearns, picked her up from home, dropped her off in Hunters Creek Middle School at 13400 Town Loop Boulevard in Orlando, Florida, on February 26, 2024. The mother then went to pick up Madeline from school at dismissal and learned she never showed up to school. An interview. Now, first of all, it's important that you understand that story is bullshit. That's what she told the cops. Mother was lying. She's lying in this audio that we're going to play from Grizzly True Crimes. But the actual surveillance footage that was uncovered by law enforcement, I'm obviously going to get to it. I'm reading the affidavit. They saw Madeline. She wasn't in the car with mom. she was in the car with her stepdad, and they caught video of her on surveillance as she appeared to be deceased in the vehicle a short time before she was reported missing. So continuing on with this, an interview was conducted with redacted Stephen Stearns, who advised that he picked up Madeline, dropped her off in front of Peace United Methodist Preschool, 13502 Town Loop in Orlando, which was down the street from the school at 8:40. Hunters Creek Middle School begins class at 9:30. A license plate reader captured Stephen's vehicle with Florida tag the license driving. During the interview with Stephen, he provided consent to search his phone. However, he stated he had accidentally performed a factory reset on his phone. Oh, and you're going to find out why. So after an extensive canvass of the area and interviews with Madeline's family and friends, it was unusual for Madeline to be dropped off down the street from the school and not stay in communication with family and friends. I could even add to that. Do either of you have middle school aged children, high school children at all? Okay. My daughter just turned 18. When I would drop her off an hour before classes would begin, when she was playing soccer, there was nobody there at the school.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason to drop her off, like down the block, for example, Now, right around the time school starts, around, 10 minutes before, then you start to get the rush.
The big rush. Yeah.
Traffic. But an hour before school, nobody is there. You could drive up into the parking lot, drive her in front of her class if you really wanted to. So the fact that that was what they were going with is just already red flags. So upon reviewing the contents of Stephen's phone, several images and videos were located which depicted redacted's Madeline Soto's breasts, vagina, anal opening as the focal point of the pictures. There were also pictures and videos depicting Madeline's vagina and mouth being penetrated by a penis. As such, the files depict the sexual performance of a child. Your affiant has probable cause to believe Stephen was in possession of material depicting the sexual performance of a child. It should be noted the penis observing penetrating redacted had distinct marking on it, which consisted of bright pinkish colored skin below the head of the penis till approximately, and they go into details about that.
Okay.
Importantly, as your affiant was reviewing the pictures and videos, I was observing several pieces of clothing to include patterned underwear, shirts, blankets, and sheets. Why is that important? Because all of those things were found inside of the home. So those pictures were obviously taken inside the home. So the guy's dead to rights. Based on the totality of circumstances, your affiant has probable cause to believe Stephen has committed a sexual battery. This is the guy born in 1986. He is
God, he's only a few years older than me. Jesus.
Yeah, 38 years old. 6'2", 220.
Big dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy. There's also more evidence. Well, evidence. I'll tell you the most recent info we have on him. So, newly released documents shed light on a series of alleged events and evidence against Stephen Stearns, who was accused of killing his 13-year-old stepdaughter, Madeline. Right now, he's behind bars on account of first-degree murder, numerous child sex abuse charges. This week, the state attorney's office announced it will be seeking the death penalty.
As they should.
Yes, documents detail that child sex abuse material was allegedly retrieved from Stearns' phone. Jonathan Rose, a local defense attorney, says this is a key piece of evidence. No shit. I should be sharing my screen with you guys, huh?
It's probably a good idea.
Here we go.
But Florida was one of the new states that passed the death penalty for criminal sexual conduct with a kid, in addition to, just regular.
I would have co-signed on that bill. Matter of fact, and when I was in law school, I wrote a paper arguing for expansion of the Eighth Amendment to expand the death penalty to include violent rapists and child molesters.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have co-signed. Whether or not that was a legally viable argument is another question. Okay, so his attorneys, so documents detail child sex abuse materials allegedly retrieved. So his attorneys will try and say that the images that may have been found on his phone will be inadmissible because they'll be too prejudicial, except he's being charged with those crimes. And so it's prejudicial because it's prejudicial, but it's like right in line with what he's being charged with.
Like the pictures don't make the murder more or less prejudicial, but you could throw away the murder and you still have, I think the number I saw was 60 counts of possession of this heinous stuff. So
it's not a winning argument, but that's what they're going to go with, I guess. Even if you take the other 60 counts out of it, you could still make an argument that, look, we need to show the pictures to demonstrate a pattern of behavior and abuse that led up ultimately to the murder. It tells the story of the incident in totality. This was a premeditated murder stemming back from a motive that was created years ago when he started abusing her, and that's how you would get it in.
Does the timing of the factory reset matter in whether they can get this material in or not?
Absolutely. And by the way, it didn't work.
Yeah.
He should be charged with evidence tampering.
He may be. I don't have the full list of charges. He may have been charged with that because why not? Just throw that in there too, I guess.
Well, Michigan has a crime committed with a computer. Like, you just attach it to everything. Like, it doesn't matter what you were doing. If there was a computer involved, there's committing a felony with a computer, and then that's a supplement.
Well, in California, they would call it destruction of electronic evidence.
Right.
And it would carry with it its own penalties. But here, the factory reset didn't work. They still recovered all of the pictures that it had. I'm assuming, if not all of them, at least most of them. So according to investigative documents, detectives found surveillance video of a car matching Stearns heading to the trash compactor earlier in the morning at 7:35. While the man who investigators say matched the description of Stearns' discarded trash, a female in the car seat sat slumped over with her mouth ajar. She was deceased. Other video detailed in the documents appeared to show the female in the same slumped position leaving the apartment complex. The defense will certainly make arguments that the person wearing the green shirt in the car was asleep, which it's not going to fly with the jury. It's unknown to the public how clear the videos were, but Rose said the prosecution will be tasked with ensuring they don't initially oversell evidence to a jury. I don't think they need to oversell it. Just show them the videos. Just make sure that you maintain chain of custody. Everything is documented, how you, whatever you do to the videos to enhance, that's all going to be issue. If they could find any possible reason to get rid of that evidence, they're going to.
Oh, yeah.
The arguments. So what's important is they're clear about what the jury is seeing and they're honest about what the jury is going to see. So Stearns reportedly told investigators that he dropped off Soto at a nearby school sometime between 8:20 to 8:40, telling investigators he did not drop her off directly in front of the school because she was going through a phase and was embarrassed of his vehicle. Come on, man. On the most notable video evidence detailed, investigators say a vehicle matching the description of Stearns was spotted in a parking garage of a Holiday Inn. In the video, a male exits the car and carries what appears to be a limp body from the passenger seat to the trunk. That is a very compelling piece of evidence, and his attorneys are going to have a great deal. Yeah, no shit. They're going to have a hard time with because there's evidence. They give a timeline of all of this stuff. I'll just go through it briefly, and then I'm going to get into why we're playing this video from Jenn Soto, and I have some thoughts. So between 7 to 7:15, Stearns tells detectives that he and Madeline woke up to get an early start so they could get McDonald's on the way to school. At 7:35, video shows a male, believed to be Stearns, discarding a trash bag filled with items in the trash compactor of his apartment complex. In the video, there is a female wearing a green sweater, believed to be Madeline. In the front seat of the vehicle, the female appeared completely slumped over with her mouth ajar, which is what happens when somebody is deceased. It just, gosh.
So you can see him, you can see supposedly her body, but you don't see any video prior to that where he could be putting her in the car?
I don't believe so.
That's really weird of a.
It might just be where, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they had a garage where they're going in and out of. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, I mean, if they have this evidence, it's going to be.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is, but it's just they're like, you can see clearly that she's sitting in the passenger seat, and it's like, okay, but
so that's 7:35. So it's 7:50. Video shows the car leaving the apartment complex through the back gate with male with a red shirt and a female wearing a green sweater. It's the same girl. Female appeared to be sitting upright with her head slumped to her left side. It doesn't mention which direction Madeline's head would have been slanted at 7:35. But on the way to McDonald's, Stearns says Madeline slept the entire time. Once they arrived nearby McDonald's, Stearns said he asked if she still wanted McDonald's, and she said no. According to Stearns, he made the U-turn in a church parking lot to sell her on McDonald's one more time because he was still hungry. But when she said she just wanted to go to school, Stearns said they turned around again in the parking lot of the church and continued towards the school. Stearns said he had forgotten his gate clicker, returned home. Instead of dropping Madeline off at school first, he said she went with him back to their home because they had plenty of time to kill because the school bell doesn't ring until 9:15. This return for the gate clicker was not mentioned earlier in the interview until deputies pressed him about seeing his vehicle traveling southbound in the direction of Kissimmee. Yeah, so they had lots of stories leading up to all of this. And I'm not going to have time to play it today, but there is video out there where he's being interviewed by like the news. Jenn Soto was there. He's like in the background, like pacing back and forth, like menacing almost. Like at the time, it was like we're speculating: is she like afraid of this guy? Like is she trying to remember to say what he told her to say before everybody got there? Because she looked just her manner of speech was odd. You're going to hear it in this audio. At 8:19, video shows male with a red shirt, believed to be Stearns, entering through the front gate. I think I read that part. Grab the clicker. So between 8:20 and 8:40, he says he dropped Madeline off at a community south of the State Road 417 overpass. Stearns said she was going through a phase, bears of the vehicle. Between 8:40 and 10, Stearns told detectives he was cruising around a bit, as one does. At 8:40 to 10 a.m., when you got nothing to do, I guess.
I'm going to drive for an hour and 20 minutes for no reason.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
This whole story is very strange, making U-turns around McDonald's. I don't.
Gosh.
Very odd.
I've been driving my kids to school for 18 years. I mean, my oldest is 18. I cannot remember a single instance, no matter how tired she was, where she was falling asleep in the car. It's like you're ready for the day. She's like excited and stuff.
Especially for a teenager who probably had a makeup regime that she was going through, that she had to have been mostly awake for, and by the time you,
and so I guess a reasonable amount. I don't know what the makeup rules are anymore.
Have you ever had a kid who wanted to go to McDonald's and then didn't want to go to McDonald's, but wouldn't let you go to McDonald's? Like,
no, that's
all very strange to me.
I also don't negotiate with my kids where we're going to go. We're going to McDonald's. But Dad, I want Chuck E. Cheese. Well, too bad, because we're here already.
Because the thing is if you want McDonald's, you say, hey, and they said we're going to McDonald's. So the decision was already supposedly made before they even left the apartment complex. Right. Then they go, and then she goes, I don't want any. It's like, fine, but I do. So we're going to go through and get it.
Yeah.
And because that's like the joke that you see. It's you ask for the I'm not hungry, and they give you a little extra fries and a drink or whatever. Because
exactly. So at 9:40, video shows a vehicle matching the description of Stearns pulling into a Holiday Inn on South John Young Parkway. A male wearing a red shirt exits the car, opens the trunk, opens the passenger side door, carries what appears to be a limp body to the trunk of the vehicle. At 10 a.m., he says he returns home. Due to difficulties with camera at the rear of the complex, detectives were not able to observe any other video of the car leaving through the back gate. Investigators said they did not see the car come through the front gate from around 8:30 a.m. until 4:35 p.m. At 11. Stern says he left home again to go to the vape shop. Again, he went there, I guess, like at 10 a.m. The vape shop. You guys vape?
No. But there's no way you're going through vape cartridges in 2 hours. Or
what was the time of the first vape shop?
10 a.m. He was there at 10 a.m. He went to a local shop. It was closed, and so he goes back at 11.
Oh, I see. That makes a little more sense.
That does make more sense.
I mean, I don't know what the protocol is for vape shops.
But I mean, if your vape shop is closed, if you're in a pinch, most convenience stores have vapes. So
yeah, like you see them like at the 7-Eleven or the liquor store or the gas stations or whatever, like you said. I don't know. I guess that is what it is. So he documents showed that detectives were able to find video of a man at the vape store. The man was a white male who purchased items and left. This document does not detail what time the video was captured or if it lines up with Stern's own timeline. Stearns says he left the vape shop and returned home. At 12:45, Stearns says he left home to run errands, headed to the area of US 192. As mentioned above, due to difficulties with cameras at the rear of the complex, they couldn't get the video of him leaving. Stearns said he visited Coliseum of Comics and stopped at a couple of Target stores. Could I just make a suggestion to the young ladies that would are looking at a guy like this as a potential life partner? I feel like it's a huge red flag if your guy is trolling McDonald's and middle schools from 8 to 10 and visiting vape shops, and then afterwards going to Coliseum of Comics and arguing with your 13-year-old about McDonald's. Come on, man. I mean,
this is a weekday.
This is a school day.
Like, what does this guy do for a living that he is free all day and can go to McDonald's in the morning, go to his vape shop, come home, go back to the vape shop, go to Target, go to the comic book store?
This isn't a holiday or something.
And not only that, it says couple of Target stores.
Yeah, that's I didn't
who goes
there yet.
You know,
like are you doing a price check on something? Like what's
I mean, the thing is, even if you're unemployed, like you're not just rolling around if nobody's home. And I don't believe anybody. I think his wife works or his girlfriend works during the day. So he'd have been home by himself. I don't know of anybody that would have had the opportunity to be home by themselves and decided to just troll around the neighborhood of various Targets and Coliseum of Comics and vape shops and like he's homeless. Unless he's trying to make believe like he has a job and he's just telling her that. Like, I don't know.
I don't want to see you around here until 5 o'clock.
They'll have to present their side. I mean, around here we have people in the manufacturing sector that they'll work like 3 days on and then they'll have 2 days off. You know what I mean? So it's we could have a couple days in the middle of the week that's like their weekend. But I don't know. I mean,
unless he was,
it could be his weekend. Yeah, maybe he's got this day off and he works on the weekends. That's a valid point.
My favorite schedule was working seconds because then you could sleep in. Everything was open if you needed to go to it, and nobody was there because everyone else was working.
Mm-hmm.
What is seconds? What is working seconds?
Second shift.
Second shift.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was working 3 to 11, so you literally could do anything. I could go hang out at the DMV and have enough time to get home and go to work. Like that's how freeing it is to work seconds, especially if you're a night owl like me.
I hear you, man. I couldn't do it nowadays. I have to be done with working at a certain time. I can't be 11 o'clock working anymore. Those days are over. All right. So Stern said he was headed.
Hey.
What's up, Lauren?
Okay, so I stopped on the way home like I told you I was going to, and this is what I got.
Did you go to multiple Targets, Lauren?
Woodward, good
No, I
job.
went to a Target. No, Target's too far away. I'm not that active right now.
Multiple
no,
Targets.
multiple Targets. I don't get
It's
it.
part of the case.
Oh, dude. See, I know very little about this. Anyways, I got that on the way home, and then I poured a little bit before I walked up here because I haven't tried it yet. And before I really read the bottle or understood what I was doing, I filled this fucker up to here.
What are you doing, Lauren?
And then I went to recork it, and it said 90 something proof, and I was just like, absolutely not. And so I had to pour it back in the bottle. But yeah, I haven't.
Lauren's getting cranked tonight.
You
No,
filled
no,
a Moscow
we're-
Mule glass with straight
right here.
bourbon.
Well, I figured dude, it was this or the Blue Alligator Farm cup you guys are used to seeing. So
I mean, well, any cup. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, at least you got some good whiskey, you know, as opposed to the store bought micheladas that you were.
Okay,
championing.
Omar, Lauren has defeated your four fingers.
Oh, well, that's man. Now you're
You
getting
poured it back though. She doesn't count.
yeah, that's true. I couldn't do that, man. No, I'm not in my 20s anymore.
So
Anyways, I have
you
not
just missed
tried
the
this.
whole timeline of things that we were talking about with Steven Stearns. So anyway, we went through this whole thing with Stearns and why he's facing trial. Now, there's been a lot of suspicion lobbed at Jenn Soto, and I'm going to get into some of that. We're going to play the audio when she was interviewed. So imagine your kid goes missing, and they're looking at her, and then she starts giving these rambling response to the media. And I just want you to focus in on some of the stuff she says. I want you to take note of her tone. I want you to take note of just her nonchalantness, like her attitude throughout the entire thing. And then just her bizarre statements about some of the things that she says. And I'm going to highlight some of them, especially at the very beginning, because it just strikes me of a person who is a freaking liar. Now, it's one of two things. Either she was a victim in all of this, and that she was also abused by this guy, and she had no ability to protect her child from this monster Steven Stearns. That's one. That's one theory. The other is that she knew all about it and she let it happen. That's what people are investigating her about. And we're going to take a listen to some of the audio. Now, this audio, it's coming from Grizzly True Crime. I'm going to pull this straight off of her channel, and I want you guys to go visit and subscribe to her channel if you haven't, because as these true crime stories go, she's probably the best in the business when it comes to getting accurate information. She does all of this work. She submitted FOIA requests. She gets it all on her own. She funds it herself. I mean, obviously through her channel. But she's been on this case since it happened, and she's the one responsible for getting this audio. So when we listen to this audio, I want you guys to be the judge and tell me, do you think that this lady had anything to do with it? And I'm not even willing to say that she's not still under investigation. I think that there's a world that exists out there where she might actually still be facing charges before all of this is over. So before I get too far into that, let me share my screen.
She hasn't been charged with anything yet?
Not so far. Not so far. Right now, she's just the reddest of flags.
What's the timeline for this interview? Is it before her daughter was found, or
a day after she went missing? A day after she went missing.
Okay.
I'm just looking at some of my older notes on this case, because I actually
this would be like the Chandler Halderson case where he was giving like multiple media interviews outside of his home.
Well, check this out. Okay, so check this out. This is I'm going to play a couple of videos for you, and just I want you to make note of Jenn Soto in this video. This is not the audio that I'm referring to, but this is where did it go? I'm having technical difficulties. Hey, Dominic.
Jenn, go ahead.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I think we figured it out. Okay. So this is around the day. This audio with the police is the day after she went missing. This is an interview that she gave to the media around the same time. Let me share my screen. All right. I want you to make note of a couple of things. You'll notice in the background, Steven Stearns pacing back and forth behind her.
What's going on with Maddie?
Well, Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church, which is it's right next to the school. She crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought walked to school. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point.
By the way, I've been saying stepdad, but they were never married. They were referring to him in the media as stepdad, but he's just the guy that lived with Madeline's mom.
The interesting thing is she says we and then corrects it.
Yeah, she does. And my other previous thoughts about this when I first listened to it like months ago was that she seemed to be trying to like remember what to say. Like she had a script and she's trying to stick with it. And you see Stearns over here, like in the background, just pacing back and forth. Just watch his mannerisms. There's obviously something off with him.
Out in the parking lot of the church for a few minutes and then got up and walked towards the school. But she never made it for that walk and that was around 9 a.m. when she got up. She never made it to school after that. It's right next to the school. I don't know why she didn't make it.
Now that was confusing because we know now that Stephen was the one that claimed that he alone took Madeline to school. Now she's saying we took her to school, we dropped her off, as in were y'all both in the car? And so it was extremely confusing at first. But which is why it leads me to believe, was she memorizing a script? Is she like in shock? What is really going on with her? What's her mental state? I don't know. But that's why you heard her say we. She was not in the car with Madeline. It's already been well established that was Stephen, just to be clear.
I don't know if something happened on her walk along the way or if she got taken, but she never made it.
And that was the last anyone's seen of her or heard from her?
Yes. I went to pick her up after school and she wasn't there. So I started driving around, maybe thinking she took a walk. Maybe she decided to walk to my mom's office, which is pretty close to the school as well. Drove around and I didn't see anything. I drove back to the school. The school was closed. I emailed one of her teachers. They confirmed that she was absent all day. At that point is when I called 911 because I realized something was truly wrong.
All right, this goes on for like 9 minutes. I'm going to play a clip from another interview with Stephen Stearns himself. And you guys could just let me know. I think I screwed this up again.
Yeah. The one interesting thing is schools are getting a lot more technically advanced. Whenever my siblings were going through high school and whatnot, if they missed class, there was a phone call that was going out to my parents.
Oh yeah, I used to get those text messages when my daughter was late by like 30 seconds. Hey, just to know that your daughter was late for first period. If there's some excuse for this, then call us. Otherwise, it's going on a permanent record.
Oh, in a text message.
Yeah, I'll get like these text message alerts. It's for any reason. Do I have the screen up? No. Here we go. Now this one. All right. Now you're gonna see Stephen interviewed and just note the difference.
I don't think she does. Which would give me it just
STEPHANSTERNS.
or so Stefan. You seem very emotional right now. Explain to us.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. It's the last time we saw her.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out. I love her. Said thanks, love you too. That was it.
Yeah, and it was around at this time where it was like, oh, well, is there anything you can give us? Can we see your phone? Oh, I don't know. I just factory reset the whole thing. So do your worst. And they recovered all of these.
How did he think that would not look suspicious? Like the factory reset on the phone. Like
he's not a smart man. Like before you came on, we were talking about this guy is like trolling vape shops at 10 a.m. and going to comic book stores at 11 a.m. on a school night. And we're like, who is this guy? So he's not the sharpest tool.
I already know he's a creep. I read that. But
totally a creep. And the images that they found on his phone, despite the factory reset, are horrific. So look, his case is his case. My question is, to what degree of culpability do we lay at the feet of Jenn Soto, Madeline's mom? What was her duty to protect? And how did she fail her daughter by allowing this man to live at her house and do what he did? Now, those questions may seem harsh, but let's just get to some of this audio. And again, this is from the Grizzly True Crime Network. I'm going to bring her screen. Did I just shut off my camera? I'm going to bring her screen up right now.
If anything, the Ethan Crumbley case is really interesting because it lays culpability on the parents for the actions of their son. So, the duty to protect the students of a school because of your actions, and then you try and take that line of logic to apply to a parent in the same household as your own child. I think that you could very easily make that stretch that you're a parent, and even if you're being abused and your daughter is being abused, then you do everything you can to try and get out. I mean,
I'll tell you what, parents have a duty to protect their children. To the extent that there's dangerous things happening in your household that you're aware of, that you let happen. I've seen parents lose their children for much less. I've literally seen parents. There was one case that I'll never forget. One of the parents decided to discipline the child with a belt, ended up leaving a mark. The school saw the mark, called CPS. They took the child away immediately, not just from the one parent, from both of the parents. And they told the mom, literally, unless you divorce this person, you're not getting your kids back. And they held on to that stance for months and months and months. And it was this whole thing. And so they take it serious. The duty to protect your children is a sacred one. So now, knowing all of that, keeping that in this context, this is her interview the day after Madeline goes missing. And this is what she had to say to the police.
Okay, let's make sure the sound is up. And let's make sure over here as well. Let's play it.
4-11313. Today's date is February 27th, 2024.
Hold on. February 27th, 2024. I'm not going to interrupt too much after this. February 27th, 2024. That's the day off.
Hey, Jennifer. I haven't introduced myself. My name's Myra Taglo. Okay, I'm a detective with the sheriff's office. Do you mind if I talk to you? Do you mind if we talk over there by the car? That's fine.
Where? Inside the house?
In the car.
Yeah. Our car?
Yeah. Oh, look at the baby.
Don't know which baby they're talking about, but I think that's Jenn Soto. Oh, look at the baby. Queens, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Don't worry, I'm going to shut up in a moment because I want to hear this all with.
On that right now. It is upstairs in the guest bedroom. It's not like in any of these cars out here.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's upstairs in the guest bedroom. Bedroom number 4. It's got a number 4 on it.
Okay, how certain are we of that?
As far as I know, the gun is inside upstairs. I haven't heard of it being in the car.
Okay. Let me just move my purse.
If you want to take
Did I hear correctly? Is she talking about a gun?
She said move
That's
my
what I heard.
purse, but
I heard
Purse
gun.
I thought I heard gun.
Yeah, I did too. I thought she said I thought the gun was inside.
Yeah.
that's a lot of gun noises.
If you want to start the car and just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Let me make this. I know it's not the most comfortable, but at least he won't be cold over there.
Yeah. get cold super easy.
Yeah, I get I'm the same way, so I understand. You want to take a seat right over here? And then she's gonna.
Jenn Soto says she gets cold super easy.
I'm not going to play the entire 50-minute clip, but there was one portion at the very beginning of this that was most telling, and I'm waiting for her to get to it.
Do you have your keys on you?
Here, have a little closer. Just in case.
Sorry, this isn't my car. There we go. Okay, so I'm not sure if he introduced himself, but his name is Luis Acosta.
All right, here we go. So there was this part around 7 minutes in where she talks about Stephen sleeping in the same bed as Madeline. And this was the first time where it piqued my interest. I was like, what?
In a separate room than she was in?
Let's just hear Mom explain.
Okay.
Apparently where Stefan Stearns was sleeping in the same bed as Maddie, particularly also on that last night that she was there. And in that room...
Somebody said something like somebody in here has a gun. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
That's a true statement.
Okay, where is this gun at right now?
It is upstairs in the guest bedroom.
It's not like in any of these cars out here.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's upstairs in the guest bedroom. Bedroom number 4. It's got a number 4 on it.
Okay, how certain are we of that? If you want to start the car and just give me 1 second.
Yeah. I want to make this. I know it's not the most comfortable, but at least he won't be cold over there.
Yeah. I get cold super easy.
Yeah, I'm the same way, so I understand. You want to take a seat right over here? And then she's gonna.
Jenn Soto says she gets cold super easy. Also, let me just say, they said there's a gun in guest bedroom number 4. That's apparently where Stefan Stearns was sleeping in the same bed as Maddie, particularly also on that last night that she was there. And in that room, they also said there was a tripod and there was some kind of a lotion. We went through those documents before, part 1, 2, and 3, so check that out. Okay, just turn on your closed captioning also. I just want to say that it is working. Turn it on.
Start it up.
Sometimes take over investigation when it comes to missing persons.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you talked to him earlier, I kind of got like a brief synopsis of what happened. I understand you have a new job.
Yes.
Okay. And if I say anything that's incorrect, please correct me. Okay. You have a new job. And last night you asked them to go sleep upstairs because you wanted to get rest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What time was this? Do you remember? It doesn't have to be like exact time, but like just.
Does it bother you guys that she's like taking so much time to answer these simple questions?
It does seem very odd.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things that just happened. She said, I need to sleep, so I told them to go sleep elsewhere. And then I think she's going to get into the whole explanation about how she told Stephen to go sleep in Madeline's room.
On your summary bit, it says 1456.
Oh yeah, they're I think they're getting into
she had her birthday party, right? Sunday she had her birthday party. Okay, what time was that party at? It started at 3:00. Okay, from 3 to what time? I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I was at work. Oh, okay, you weren't there. But I know my sister home around 8:30. Was Stefan here at that time? I'm not sure if he was here at the time, but I think he got here a little bit after. And he was like, okay, she was already doing what she was supposed to. She had taken her nighttime meds and she was getting ready for bed, like taking a shower. She'd take showers at night. So he's like, okay, she was already on it. I didn't get home until, I'm going to say 10:30. Okay. And then at 11, I sent them to bed. Did Stefan make it to the party? No. Okay. And then
Part they're talking about is it's her 13th birthday party.
So
when all this happened.
So why would she say I sent them to bed?
Yeah, I'm trying to decipher that because it's unclear to me when she says that who specifically she's referring to. If it's is she talking about Madeline and Steven? She couldn't be, right? Not at that point.
That would be really weird, but I don't like if she sleeps in the master bedroom, then why would it matter where anyone else is? So why it sounds like this is a multi-story apartment for some reason, because she talks about going upstairs. So this would be really weird for her to be sleeping on the couch and then saying go upstairs.
Well, let's try to get some more context from her. She's continuing to she's got this rambling explanation. Let's see what she has to say.
Once you get here, you said you sent her to bed at 11. And the following morning, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. You send him upstairs, right? Mm-hmm. How many bedrooms are upstairs? 3. Okay. Where? In bedroom number 4. Okay. And what about Stefan? Bedroom number 4. Okay. Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room? Sometimes. When I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs.
What the fuck?
When also a lot of times we will sleep together in the king size bed, all 3 of us. Or sometimes Stefan will go upstairs and
so there's 4 bedrooms in the house. And she just casually, nonchalantly mentions that Madeline sleeps in bedroom number 4 and Steven will go up there to sleep in bedroom number 4. And that was just like a normal occurrence in the house. And then they all 3 sleep in a king size bed sometimes. The girl's like 13.
Are they renting these other rooms?
I saw someone mention in chat that they might be, but we have a king size bed and we have 2 dogs and it feels like we have no space whatsoever.
Yeah.
You add a third person to that and there's not a whole lot of room.
I don't let my 4 and 5-year-old jump in the bed. As soon as they jump in the bed, it's time to get out of bed. Because it's
also a 13-year-old. Like if I was dating someone, I would sleep on the couch before you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no scenario where you're sleeping in the same bed with a 13-year-old. I mean, let alone when my daughters, a 4 and 5-year-old, as soon as they were out of the bassinet, man, they were in their own crib. And it was like, oh, when is the proper time to put the babies in their own separate rooms? Like, as soon as it's safe. And then we have like all of the cameras in there because that's a dangerous game to play when you let your baby sleep in your room. Because I know some parents where that goes on until, they're like 8, 9, 10 years old. But 13 is a bit old.
We never did in a bassinet we did it for like for 2 weeks. And then we moved him into his room with the camera. And then we never stayed in the same room.
So Miss T says that there's 2 other roommates and a woman and her 15-year-old son. So I'm assuming those are bedrooms 1 and 2. So let's just say that all the bedrooms are occupied. And at what point do you send your boyfriend to go sleep with your 13-year-old daughter? because you need to get some sleep. Get out of here with that.
That's pretty weird.
I'm going to let this go on for a little bit longer and just see if she's going to ever make sense of it.
Our bed alone. So it just really depends on what's going on that night with our schedules and what we're doing.
Okay, where were you sleeping?
Downstairs in the king size bed.
Okay, is it just you two here, or you guys have a roommate, right?
We have 2 roommates, and one of the roommates has a son who's here like a little bit more than half the week.
So what rooms do you guys use?
The room downstairs, the master bedroom downstairs, and room number 4.
Okay. So it wasn't last night. It was the night before. Stefan slept in bedroom number 4 and you slept downstairs.
Yes.
In the master. Okay. What time did you wake up?
I'm going to say around 8 o'clock in the morning. Stefan came into the room and was trying to put the leash on the dog. Somewhere between, I'm going to say somewhere between, he came into the room somewhere between 8 and 8:15. He came in to put the leash on the dog, and I got up to try to help him because my dog is kind of a nervous dog and I didn't want him to pee on the bed. So we wrangled him, put him on his leash, and he said, "Go back to sleep." And I said, "Okay." So I laid back and went back to sleep.
Okay.
I heard people in the kitchen. I'm not sure exactly who was in the kitchen. As far as I know, I came downstairs to get ready in her. So she's got she's kind of got a bedroom in the living room. If you go into the apartment, you'll see there's like a.
Why? Okay, I'm trying not to chip in too much. We're just going to listen to it mostly without me, unless I have to say something. Of course, welcome everyone. We are listening to the police interview of Jenn Soto for the first time, and it happened on the February 27th of 2024. I mean, I'm just putting up comments on the screen, so read those.
Yeah, so she goes on to talk about, she gives kind of the same story that you guys have heard already, where, she realizes she was gone and then she freaks out. Now she goes on and have these other bizarre explanations for like her forgetfulness and cell phones and things of that nature, but there wasn't a whole lot more to it. But it kind of goes on for about 50 minutes like this.
Why is she give the timeline from before? Like when did they leave for McDonald's?
It would have been like around 7:30 a.m.
Which is really weird because they got up at 7.
Coming in at 8 to do the dog.
They said that they dropped her off somewhere between 8:20 and 8:40. So that leads me to believe that they would have probably left around 8 a.m., if at all. But on the surveillance, let me go back to that timeline that I had. This is the timeline that we have.
So we have a surveillance, we have his story, we have her story. They seem inconsistent so far a little bit.
They are 100%, but they sound, to me, it sounds like Steven had a story that he wanted her to stick with, and it just fell apart because that's just not how that works. They were not smart enough to pull it off.
She's still talking about this with like the nonchalance of somebody who like lost a box of saltines or something.
Yeah,
like this is ridiculous.
I was going to ask you.
To me, she almost sounds like she's on
Valium.
Like a Vicodin or a Valium or something, or Xanax, or she almost sounds like she's medicated.
Some kind of anxiolytic.
I've never seen her sound any different than how she's sounding here with this officer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. In all of the videos that I've heard her speak, she sounds exactly like that. And so I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. It's certainly not the reaction of somebody that I would expect that's frantically looking for their 13-year-old child. But I don't know. Am I out of bounds, Lauren, when I say when I judge her based on her affect?
No, she seems pretty unbothered by the whole thing.
When did they find Madeline?
3 days later.
Right.
Oh wow.
So again, this is the time
after this February 27.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I think it was it February 29th or February 30th?
No, it's March 1st that they found her, and this was a leap year, so it would have been 29, 30.
Didn't I? Totally did.
Somebody says she's on a hefty dose of mood stabilizers. Is that true? Is that a fact, or is that just a speculation?
I don't know what she's on.
Either way, it doesn't matter because a mood stabilizer is not going to prevent you from being concerned about your daughter, and she's clearly not. So
interesting, yeah.
if you're in a state of panic and near shock, your body's going to be pumping adrenaline and all kinds of other endorphins to be able to try and get you to try and focus on trying to find your daughter.
Right.
And if you're seeming like you're on some kind of downer, then that's completely inconsistent with what you would expect someone to have been on.
Would you guys be creeped out if your girlfriend told you to go sleep with her 13-year-old child in her bed?
That's what I'm saying.
That's a breakup conversation right there.
It's like,
I would be on the couch. I mean,
dude, I sleep in my
it's
car.
just weird.
before.
That's way too old. I mean, kids need their, they need their privacy.
ADHD meds. Okay, well, I take my ADHD meds every day, Star, and I've never been that much of a uncaring person. So, just saying.
No, there's,
Yeah, this is a little more extreme than just daily regimen medication, I think.
Like,
Yeah, sounds like it.
If I don't know what the ADHD typical treatment is, but say you get pills twice a day, 12 hours apart for extended release or whatever. If you're taking like 2 or 3 of these, trying to mood stabilize yourself from panicking the F out.
If you're abusing like a stimulant for ADHD, you're not going to calm down. That's just not going to happen.
Well, yeah, if it's a stimulant, but if it's like a Xanax or something for anxiety.
Oh yeah, but that's way different. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I have 2 plausible scenarios from what I'm gathering here. Tell me what you guys think is the most likely. So either this lady has also been abused, probably for years, going back to the beginning of their relationship to when he moved in to the time that her daughter went missing, and that she is exhibiting some severe form of Munchausen syndrome or something.
I don't think it'll
Not
work.
Munchausen.
What you mean, like, so she was
Munchausen by proxy.
I think it'd be more like Stockholm syndrome.
That's what I meant. Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that makes way more sense. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Not much. Yeah, the Stockholm syndrome. The other possibility was that she was into Steven's sick fetishes.
Yeah.
And knowingly allowed him to do whatever. And the third possibility is that she was so enamored, infatuated with Steven that she looked the other way because she didn't want to lose Steven. Of those 3 possibilities, which do you think is the most likely? And is there a 4th scenario that I'm not considering?
I think the let's all sleep together in the king bed leads me to believe number 2 is most likely, where they're all in on it and she doesn't care at all.
Can you give me the numbers again?
Yeah.
First is Stockholm abuse and looks away. 2 is participates because it fetishizes something that she feels. Or 3rd, I forgot what 3 was.
I forgot what 3 was too. So I said, okay, so the second one, the third one was that she was so enamored with Steven that she didn't approve of it, but she turned a blind eye to it.
I mean, that's unfortunately common. I would say that. That's where I'm going with. Not to say that, the other ones aren't plausible or anything like that, but that happens a lot, especially with kids who show up in the hospital. Like, it's terrible. But
you're saying some sort of willful ignorance.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know what's sad? I literally I've had cases recently where I've gotten restraining orders for my clients against abusive men and done all of this work to protect them and their children, and come to find out that they voluntarily dismissed the restraining order and let the guy move right back into the house, and then called me up like a few months later when it wasn't working out. And then I'm looking at these people like, I can't represent you if I do all of this work and you're just going to undo it with your stupidity. I just can't. If I'm going to represent you, you and I have to make a deal. And that's why I personally think, I just don't think, how weird is that she would just be into this, like the sex cult whatever ring. It was suspected that this is part of like some kind of underground child molestation ring that he was selling content for. That was one theory that was thrown out there. I mean, unless it's something like that, 3 just seems like the simplest and most plausible to me.
The weird thing would be if he was selling that content for whatever reason. People who participate in that tend to seem to hoard a lot. So if they only found 60 images, then that doesn't lead me to believe that he was actively sharing or selling them.
I don't know.
Use a different device, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if we know the extent of stuff that he had. I don't know if we're going to know about that until trial.
From the charges and what little we got in the probable cause statement, if they have the phone extraction, that they would have seen if there was more. Like, if he's got 60 images on his phone, he would have likely had a ton more if he was actively dealing in this stuff.
I think they would have found it faster, is what Brad's saying. And I
Yeah.
kind of agree, actually.
You know what? They actually talk about discussion on parental instinct and protective. It's like
But I mean, when they get to trial, we'll really see.
Yeah.
We'll really see what all they found.
What is that going to be?
Because they're not going to just like let this lead. You know, they're going to go hard on this lead.
I'm still not convinced that it's going to go to trial, to be honest with you. I think that at some point he's going to plead. Now they're seeking the death penalty, unless there's some, if they offer him like, look, we'll take death penalty off the table, just plead, then maybe he'll do it. I just don't see them doing it in this case.
I don't know why they would let him take a pleading, because they have really good evidence, right? Or what do you think about that?
Well, they have. I think the evidence, the arguments to make inadmissible some of the evidence that they have are weak. 60 counts of possession of CP materials, along with the murder. I just don't see a way for them to get rid of it all. They're going to say that if we let in all of this CP in the murder case, then it's going to be way too prejudicial. My counter to that, if I'm the DA, is that you can't establish motive without getting all of that stuff in there, because you're going to, if I'm going to sell you on the idea that this guy murdered this little girl, then we need to know the full context of what everything happened. Abuse started when she was like 9 years old, and then she gets older, it culminates, and here's all the evidence of the sexual misconduct, of all the CP that he generated, of all this other stuff, and the sexual abuse that she had to endure. And then it comes to a head, whatever he did to her to end her life. It was they have to show the entire story. If they're trying to get rid of it because it's too prejudicial, I don't see that working, because it feels like it's all connected.
Especially if he did the factory reset on the day she disappeared. To me, that is, you can't just get rid of that as circumstantial or prejudicial.
Now they're going for a premeditated murder.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if they can't prove premeditation, how are you going to prove premeditation if the story that you're allowed to tell is, well, I went to go sleep up there with her in bedroom number 4, and then, things got out of hand. One thing led to another. I was having a bad dream, and then I thought that she was a demon, and so I started choking what I thought was a demon, and I was out of my mind, and then I woke up and realized what I had done. I tried to cover it up, and it was all spur of the moment. I didn't mean to do it, and he's all remorseful. If you get to tell that story, you may be able to tell that story if you can't bring in all the other evidence of the 4 other years of abuse that led up to that moment.
Even that story, I don't think that's a defense.
Now, I pull that out of my ass,
Yeah.
And so I'm just
not
trying
a
to
good defense.
I'm just trying to find a way for him to explain how she ended up unalived without premeditation. It was an accident, or things got out of hand, or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, the evidence they have to be able to show all of the evidence. If they're not able to, is it going to damage their case? No, because I think that all of the other things that he did subsequent to the murders demonstrate exactly what he did. And perhaps, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a disgusting case to talk about. It's really difficult. I can't wrap my mind around a guy that does this to a 13-year-old little girl, and then a mother that is just, in full knowledge that her daughter is gone, behaving this way, talking this way.
It's hard to grasp.
I'm like horrified by it, and I'm disgusted by it all at the same time. I don't know.
So here's what they what looks like they did. They charged him separately for the 60 counts of possession.
Yes.
So
yes.
So I can understand why they would want to keep it out of the murder trial, because if my question would be, why would they charge them in for two separate cases? Because that only makes everything worse.
Because of the prejudicial aspect of it. Because the incidents are not related. Like, for example, the first degree murder, the actual murder itself happened on a specific date, but a lot of these 60 counts were like 3-4 years ago. And they have nothing to do with one or the other. In other words, they're not connected. They're their own separate thing. And so the only reason you even get to make this admissibility argument based on the prejudicialness is simply because of that, because they're separate incidents. You can't, and then it becomes essentially propensity evidence that's not admissible anyway. So what I'm suggesting is that many times, and I imagine that you're going to have experts come in and testify to this, in these child sex abuse cases, it starts off a certain way, and then it progressively gets worse to the point where it ends up to where it ended up. And the entire act of it, the fact that it's escalating, is proof of the premeditation by itself. And so you can't say that it's too prejudicial if we're telling you that the motive for why he did it, his process of how he processed things, it's all connected from the first time he started doing it all the way until the final product about what he actually ultimately did, disposing her body in the dumpster and all of it.
It's not irrelevant to the premeditation.
No, it's relevant. It's like it is the premeditation,
Yeah.
Especially if you can show a clear like staircase to, like, I don't know, maybe he gets to like he grazed her leg, to escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating to the final act.
So here's a thought exercise for you, Omar. You're representing Stephen Stearns, and you're trying to get the best plea arrangement best. You've got one case where you're facing first-degree murder with death penalty. You also have 60 counts of criminal sexual battery of a minor that could also get the death penalty.
Yeah.
How would you try and offer your client the best opportunity to plea?
Well, there's only one response to that, and you'd have to plead. Look, I will plead to whatever you want my client to plead to, but you got to take death penalty off the table. Other than that, then I mean, what's the point? Like, what?
Yeah.
What is in it for us to plead anything? Then
that's their only play.
Go to trial and lose. If the DA in this case is hell-bent on making sure that this guy dies, and they're going to have to go through the exercise of going through trial, because look, if you're going to die anyway, well then F it, I might as well go to trial and see what happens.
Waste everyone's time so I can die 4 years later than originally.
That is a due process, sir. That is written into our Constitution. It is not a perfect system, but it's the system that we have. But yeah, there's not a scenario where you're going to defend a guy like this, because look, even if you could make some kind of weird argument that sticks with a jury, because you get a dumb jury in there to say that, oh, well, he didn't mean to hurt her that bad. And, the death was an accident, and never mind the 4 years of abuse that occurred before that. Even if you get a jury to believe that, you're not going to get over the 60 counts of stuff that they found on his phone, the factory reset, his deception of the cops, the stuff that they have on surveillance. He did stuff to hide what he did. He has guilt proof of guilt and conscience.
They
all of
didn't
it.
report a accident. They reported a missing person.
And he knew that she wasn't missing. He knew that
Mhm.
she was dead. And he led the cops on this rambling chase to serve his own purposes. The question that I've only ever had is not his guilt. It's really been, to what extent do we place blame on Jenn Soto? So that is where we're at right now with the Madeline Soto case. And gosh, I wish that I saw this video. And look, I listened to the whole thing. I'm not going to play the entire thing. Go to Grizzly True Crimes and watch the entire 50-minute video. You'll hear her rambling, the same stuff, the same monotone voice, the same disinterested attitude in all of it. If you ask my opinion, I can think of zero parents that I know, zero moms that I know, who would tell their grown ass boyfriend to go sleep in the same bed with their 13-year-old pubescent daughter. It's
Very
just
strange.
beyond bizarre.
Have there been any occurrences of proving that Jenn has lied to not just to the police, but to other relatives or something like that?
Nothing crazy. I mean, there was the initial aspect of her video that she was giving to the police, where like, why is she saying that we drove them in the car? And that was very strange. For everybody's like, why is she saying we when Steven is the one that drove Madeline to school? She says we drove Madeline to school. So there was that part of it that was off. She starts reciting the same story that Steven was reciting. She was doing most of the talking while Steven was like domineering over her in the background. Again, like I said, there's like three possible scenarios in this case. Either she was in on it, or she was abused herself and let it go because she was afraid, or she knew about it, but she didn't want to disrupt her life. And so she let it happen.
So I'm looking at the docket, and they're status hearing both cases concurrently. So are they trying them concurrently, or are they merging the files together, or are they just expediting the judicial schedule by having both cases being status conferenced at the same time?
I don't know if they're going to be trying everything together at the same time. I don't think that they can. I think that they have to have separate trials. But
would there be a reason they'd want to do one trial before the other, or could they happen at the same time? Or
I'd imagine that they would want to get rid of the murder case first. Because I think if you're the defense attorney and that's even an issue, then you're going to be arguing. If this case gets out as high profile as it is, and everybody gets to hear all the evidence about the 60 counts of CP that he had, then it's going to prejudice him. It's going to so prejudice him that there's not going to be a state in the country that he's going to be able to get a fair trial.
Yeah, because if I'm a prosecutor and I've successfully won a murder conviction on him, I can say, this guy was molesting his girlfriend's daughter for years, who he would end up killing. The defense attorney would object to that immediately because of the prejudicial nature of it. But it's like, it's in the record. And you're going to be hard pressed to find a jury that hasn't heard of this case since it's been publicized in local TV.
yeah, this reminds me of in the Murdaugh case. They did the murder case before the financial crimes.
Yeah, he was admitting to everything on the
questioned.
stand.
Yes, and that's exactly why. I mean, because the guy was already a creep. Murdaugh was a creep, and it's starting to become a lot more widely known how much of a creep he was. I mean, that case was bizarre. That guy was bizarre.
Yeah,
everything about that case just creeped me out, man. But yeah, they did the murder case because you're not going to be able to get a fair trial in a murder case if everybody hates your guts because of all the ways that you defrauded your clients. Yeah, and so it's going to be a similar thing here. Anyway, folks, Lauren, I know you got your whiskey. You got your good whiskey now. I know Brad's been pre-gaming for like an hour.
It's still a little bit left.
I thought it prudent of us to start talking about some politics while you guys are a little bit faded.
Yeah, refill.
Let's break some friendships.
Hey, so I don't know if you guys caught the DNC. I didn't watch it because it was too boring.
Me too.
Oof.
But I understand that there were mixed feelings and emotions. I've declared myself a political free agent and all of this. I don't know who I'm effing going to vote for, but I'm having a really hard time stomaching the thought of voting for the oldest presidential candidate that we've ever had in our 300-year plus history. I don't know, man. Convince me, Brad.
Did you vote for Biden in 2020?
I did.
So he would have
older than
been. Well, he's older than Biden now, but
yes,
he
I
was.
did vote for Biden, but I'll tell you what, there was no chance in hell I was voting for Biden this time around because the guy's almost dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Even hearing some of the clips from his speech last night, like I don't even know why they put him up because he's fully losing it. And you know for a fact now that the government is not functioning without an executive right now. And that's terrifying because the fact that our government is running itself without a mentally functioning executive is insane.
Thank you, Brad. So my question then becomes,
hey, don't discount the power of a bureaucratic process. Bureaucracy can run unmaintained for a little bit.
I mean, we could just go with Twitter polls. That'd probably be fine too, right?
There's a whole episode of
paperwork
Orville about that. You do not want that.
I got to tell you, man, Trump is not the same guy he was 4 years ago, man. He's slipping. He's slurring his speech. He's talking about crazy things. He gets so distracted. I need to get, why would I vote for that guy when we just got done with Biden? Like, why would I do that? You got to convince me, Brad.
Well, the thing is there's a couple of philosophies or camps that the people are going to fall into. There's going to be the people that Trump as a personality is so jarring that I can't bring myself to vote for him. But then the other side is going to be a matter of overall philosophy in terms of the federal government and what a Kamala Waltz ticket could continue to bring in spite of what future domestic and international incidents may occur.
So this is my problem with people that argue Trump to me. And I haven't picked a side yet. I feel like I have to every time I don't like acquiesce to a Trump argument, I feel like people get mad at me. Hey Lauren, who are you voting for?
Everyone sucks here.
Are you a political free agent too? Join the club. So, I think Bruce is rolling.
Everyone sucks in the stream. What?
I'm voting for Bruce.
Ooh, I got one vote.
Right in.
Here's the problem with Trump, man.
My rooster will vote for me.
Like,
you might not be old enough though.
I cannot get down with his campaign slogan, which whatever his actual slogan is, it seems to be, if you don't vote for me, then the country is going to hell and everything's going to suck.
Every politician has used that same functional idea going back for 100 years. So that's really not.
Yeah, fear does not convince me. I'm with Omar on this. Like I know they do it, but it's not like I don't want to hear about the fear.
I don't trust anyone from either side on social media anymore, as far as like the media and journalists go and stuff like that. If there's like specialties like political stuff, because I'm like, dude, everybody's just trying to push you over the edge and be afraid of one thing or the other. And I'm like, where's the truth now? Because I feel like everyone's just exaggerating everything and it's just a mess.
There's a lot of money behind influencers right now too.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
Did you guys catch the John?
Pay your EMTs, people.
Influencers. Can we get Dave Neal some more money?
Dude.
I mean, he's been going hard on the politics too, but
I don't mind Dave.
Maybe not
Dave's
for the
fine.
best, but
I don't know.
doing
Dave's
what
all
he
right.
wants.
I think Dave's all right with that.
There was this clip with Jon Stewart when he was talking about how Trump said that he was like in a helicopter with Willie Brown or something. And they were going down and they were going to crash. And then in the course of like crashing with Trump in the helicopter with Kamala's old boyfriend. He was telling her all of the shitty things that she did and what a bad person she was.
Mhm.
And it turns out that yeah, that didn't ever happen. I gotta find the clip. Hold on.
Because I had both heard that Willie was in some vehicle with him and that Kamala was in attendance with him, but then I hadn't seen anything of it. And since the last stream where we talked politics and I brought up unverified rumors, I'm being cautious and
I don't
what I'm
verify stuff over here, man. I'm not a professional, man. I don't know anything about this stuff. But could I just like go? I'm you know what? I'm just gonna stream this. We're gonna watch this together for the lulz, because you know, I'm considering.
I love
Trump.
that guy.
And it's like I hear stuff like this. All right, here we go.
As mob law.
With him, we thought maybe nobody waiting, and the crowd looked like 10,000.
All right, I'm just going to skip to the story. Here it is.
Real doesn't mean that Donald Trump does someone terrible thing.
Come on, Brad. How do
Well, have you figured it out, Omar?
I'm not his PR guy. You're asking for arguments on philosophical differences between two candidates, and personalities are going to come into conflict. You're going to get that. So
sure, okay. You see, but it's like I have looked for any policy argument to represent what Donald Trump is going for, but the problem is every time I listen to his speeches, he gives a lot of them. He's like campaigning every single day, and to dwindling crowds, it seems like he spends like a good hour or two just talking shit about Kamala Harris, and it's like, okay, the Democrats suck. She's liberal, she's communist, whatever. Like, so what are your ideas? And it's just like he's just continuing to riff on all of this negative stuff and bringing up Willie Brown stories and all these things. It's like, what? Give me any reason to vote for you. I've never wanted to vote for anybody less than Kamala Harris.
Right.
Side. Give me any reason to follow your side, and I am in. And the stuff that I'm getting back is these kinds of stories. And Kamala Harris is a communist, and this country is going to hell unless you vote for me. And then it's
okay,
like and all of that stuff.
The one policy thing. Kamala Harris is endorsing the plan that Biden has proposed, that they want to tax unrealized gains for high net worth individuals, whether you're in that bracket or not. The idea that you can be taxed on gains for something that you don't fully have realized in your portfolio is scary, because I call it forced divestiture.
This is why stock options went away. And now they give you stock options, not even stock options, but stocks that vest over time, because they have to pay the taxes on stock options that don't even exist yet.
Oh, am I going to have to read a bunch of, I don't want to
policy stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I can't even get into the article because they want me to turn off my ad blockers, and I refuse.
I'm just depressed now because I almost ran a car with Dave Neal into a cactus, and he never told me any like last minute revelations about his life. Like, I feel like I've missed out now.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that. I mean, is that a thing? Like in your dying moments, you got to get out all your grievances against all the worst people. Is that how?
No.
How fast were you driving at that cactus? I mean, were you for sure going to die? Because if you weren't going that fast, maybe you just didn't want to divulge the secrets at that point.
I mean,
it's not the same as when you're driving into the side of a mountain through a cave that happens to be painted on.
All right. So as far as I can tell, I keep on hearing about how Kamala Harris is this big communist, extreme liberal, but what she's essentially touting seems to be pretty centrist. Is there anything you could point to that's an extreme measure of liberalism, such the magnitude of what Trump is describing it as?
The recent discussion about groceries and food costs to the American consumer, and the idea that you're going to start setting price ceilings on particular goods.
Okay.
And the idea that you're going to then limit the high price for what can be charged for a particular good will create shortages inevitably.
You see, Brad, you're saying all this stuff that I'm not I'm not prepared to answer, because I don't even know. I've never heard her say that before. I haven't heard about these limits on groceries.
If I was going to Google search her right now, I would say Kamala Harris fights grocery price gouging, because that's.
I thought you were about to say grocery store workers.
Well, no, that's the terminology that she's going to be using, is that they're going to try and fight price gouging by setting limits on what can be charged, which.
Yeah.
Okay. From the USA Today. So it says, so I have to just say, God damn it, with these subscriptions. I don't want to give you $4. Where's the article? Jesus.
I'll see you in the Costco parking lot, Lauren. Bring your boxing gloves.
I don't want a box. I'll sit on you.
Okay, so it says Democratic.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh, shit.
Oh. So she's expected to announce plans to fight food inflation with a federal ban on price gouging on groceries. But how much this would help Americans is debatable. Okay. Price gouging that's sort of like what we already have with the gas prices. I've also heard theories about how they're going to force refineries to keep a certain amount of crude oil on hand to eliminate oil companies from unnecessarily gouging prices for their own profits. How is that an example of extreme liberalism is my question.
Because the idea that you're treating it like a bank and having reserves to prevent runoffs, and the idea that you're going to tell companies, whether it's grocery, well, the idea is not analogous between grocery and refineries, but the refinery rate for crude oil, because you think of it this way, the United States government has the largest free supply of oil in its quote unquote strategic reserves. The problem that we're running into is that the amount that they release from the strategic reserves is not enough to actually facilitate a large reduction in what we use, because they said that one of the recent times that Biden was releasing from the strategic reserve, they said they were going to release like 1 million barrels or something. And it's like, great. That's like a day's worth of the national oil. It's not significant enough to be able to cause a significant price drop that would offset the amount of supply that's being cut off from other sources.
All right. So what is Trump's big plan?
Well, the idea is that the economy is still largely petrochemical based, and by artificially restricting the supply through some of these greener initiatives, canceling drilling in Anwar, reducing and removing fracking to discover and develop new reserves or new supply sources, reduces the traditional need that we've had on Middle East oil. And then we already know that Venezuela has been largely banned from our markets, even though they sit on largely one of the largest supply reserves of oil. It's a matter of ensuring that energy can be cheap enough to ensure that everything, because you think how much food and everything that we have in transportation, manufacturing requires something to be delivered somewhere. And by increasing the supply, one of the radio hosts that I listen to, he has this phrase where he goes, abundance is peace. When things are abundant, nobody's going to be going after one another because it forces people are happy. People don't want to be fighting over things because it's easily gotten. When things become artificially restricted, then people start going to more criminal aspects because they have to fight to survive.
Okay. What is Trump going to do? I guess. So you just said all of that. I guess here's my problem, Brad. I've never heard Trump speak on this issue ever. I don't watch all of his speeches, granted. I just don't. I'm not confident that if I asked Trump that question, that's the answer I would get. I'm not even going to pretend to understand everything that you said because I haven't fact checked it. I haven't done anything like that. If I were to ask Trump that same question, I'm curious about what his off the cuff answer would be. If he would even know what we're talking about, or if he would just start telling me that Kamala is the worst and all of this, and fear mongering and the same typical stuff that he does. So I guess I got to I have to hear some policy from Trump that is better than Kamala's policy. You convince me, because look, she has theories. She at the very least has her agenda out there. I'm sure somewhere on a website somewhere, Trump has some of his agenda out there. But the problem is, let's just talk about immigration. I know that Kamala came out and said that she's going to be tough on immigration. She's going to deport all these people. And Republicans were like, bullshit. She's just saying that because she wants to get our votes. And then they started touting that we need mass deportations and we need all of this stuff. But when you look at the deportation numbers, are you aware? I wanted you to know. Are you aware that when Trump got into office, he talks about deportations. He talks about mass deportation. He talks about the illegals and how they're taking all the jobs and they're raping all the women. Did you know that deportations dropped dramatically when Trump was in office as opposed to when Obama was there for the previous 8 years?
Right.
Are you also aware that deportations since he left office are now up? Since he left office, what happened with Trump is his methods to deport people were so ineffective that they just didn't work. What could have been an expedited look under Obama, it was really simple. If you commit crimes, you're out, buddy. And they even labeled you like category 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you were category 1, maybe you get like a disturbing the peace or there, whatever. You forgot to pay a traffic ticket. Category 2, you're possession of narcotics. Category 3 is you committed a felony. Category 4, you're a murderer, rapist, whatever. You're out. There's no question about it. Deported. The whole thing was streamlined, expedited. I practiced immigration during that time because I had to, because I was an associate at a firm. And when I had a client like this, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. You're gone. You might as well start making arrangements. They got a bus. They'll fly you back to Guatemala or whatever it was. But it was a thing. If you committed crimes, your ass was out. Somehow, with all of Trump's tough talk, all of that got reversed. The number of people that were returning to the country increased. And all that really happened is the mechanisms by which people that were seeking refuge in the United States, it's not that their applications were denied, it's that they were put on hold. And so it completely just, what's the term?
Gridlocked the system.
Gridlocked the system to where nothing was getting done. People weren't getting deported at the same rate, and the whole system was more inefficient. So if that's his big selling point, and I am smart enough to have practiced back then and seen the difference between his policies and the Democratic policies, why should I believe him when he says anything else? Because everybody that's spoken on the immigration issue has been so far off base that they have no effing idea what they're talking about. I think if people actually looked at the Democratic policies that were being proposed and that are even proposed now, they're actually tougher than what the Republicans had. So the problem is that they're not based on fear-mongering and whistleblowing that Trump seemed to be purporting back between 16 to 20. And appealing to these people that are hell-bent on that's like, oh, we got to get all the illegals out here, and we can't have them. We have to have closed borders. And you say stuff like that, and in practice, it doesn't actually work.
So my counter to the drop in deportations would be the statistics in the number of border crossings having decreased during his term, because his argument against that would be, well, of course I didn't have to deport as many people because not as many people were trying to get in, because we had the Remain in Mexico policy and we were doing all of these other things in order to try and get these cases settled before they were allowed to cross the border.
That may or may not be a viable argument, because I don't know for sure what the numbers of people crossing the borders were. But for people that are voting for Trump specifically because they think he's going to like deport 1 million people on his first day in office, and
that's illogical. He's not going to be able to deport 1 million people on June 21st or January 21st.
He did deport 1 million people in a single year. Well, actually, let me just pull up the exact numbers. Deportation numbers.
But I think one of the ideas against illegal immigration would be that if we are continuing to allow 300,000 to 1 million people annually into the country that are not vetted, that are not health screened, and that's 1 million more houses or living establishments that need to be constructed throughout the country when we already have a shortage in supply. And now Kamala Harris is talking about an additional $25,000 grant to be able to provide down payment assistance to those who are first generation or first in their family homeowners.
I completely missed what you're saying because I was trying to pull up this chart. You're mentioning something about the could you repeat what you just said?
So if our current I'd have to go look for the numbers, but I think our current status since Biden came into office, that there's been at least between 500,000 to 1 million annually people crossing the border seeking either some form of refugee asylum status.
Mm-hmm.
And those people need places to live. And what the Texas government has been doing is saying, if cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago are saying we're sanctuary cities, we're not going to abide by ICE's authority, and if some kind of detainer is given, we're going to set it in this stack of papers over here, and we're not going to touch it. So they said, well, great. If you're going to be a sanctuary for these people, we're going to send these people to you and you can figure out what to do with them, because we're not going to continue to pay the cost of figuring out where these people are. You guys want to be sanctuary and you want to defy the federal government's authority on border entry and working with ICE, then you can figure out what to do with these people.
All right. So like we were saying, he clogged the system. Here's where this is what I was talking about. So when Obama gets into office in 2008, you can see that there is this precipitous increase in the deportations. You know, I mean, obviously he wasn't here for 2007, but in 2008, 359, 379, it spikes to 432 in 2013, 400,000 in 2014, because he was getting rid of violent criminals. That's what Trump has been saying he's going to do. We need to get rid of the violent criminals and deport them and, you know, whatever. But
what's the difference between removals and returns?
Well, that's just the number of people. I'm assuming that returns means the people that were deported that ended up back in the United States. I'm assuming that's what it means. It used to be in the millions, like in the 2000s, and then it dropped off because it was just harder to get in because of the laws that Obama put in place, where if you have crimes, we can't let you back in.
Is there a footnote? Footnote 2. What does return mean?
You know what? I'm just going to read it. How about that?
I'm super pedantic about
returns are the confirmed movement of an inadmissible or deportable alien out of the United States, not based on an order of removal. Confirmed movement of an inadmissible or deportable alien out of the United States.
So do you really have to just add these two columns together and that's the number you want? Or because that number goes way down.
Well, yeah, but the reason that it went down is because it made it was so much more difficult to get in when Obama put in his 4-tiered system. when he said that if you commit crimes, you're out. If you don't commit crimes, you're cool. Matter of fact, we'll even create special programs. You came over to the United States when you're like 2 years old. You've been here. You don't know anything else. DACA. How about that? Deferred action.
And all these returns we used to do aren't needed anymore.
Yeah. And so now when Obama gets office, I just find it's hilarious. Like deportations drop to 287. We hadn't seen 287 since like 2005. Back when Bush was in office. And then 328, 359 start. I don't have the numbers after that. But after that, it would have been, Biden's administration. And so
I don't know. I mean, you're sort of arguing about 200,000 versus 300,000. Like, is it a big deal? Like, I feel like we're giving all these candidates too much credit. Like, they're not that important.
Well, my only point in making this point was that I hear like one of the big selling points for Trump supporters is that he's going to clean up the borders and he's going to deport all these criminals. When I don't think anybody really knows that we had it like set up like almost perfect. It was simple. If you commit a violent crime against women, if you commit a violent crime against anybody, you're out. And you don't have any form of relief. Oh, but my grandma wants to petition. I'm petitioning for my fiance. What? No. He committed a crime. He's ineligible. Good luck. Lots of luck to you in wherever you're from.
I think that's the problem. Like the actual, execution and engineering that you want to do is maybe different than the marketing you want to do.
Well, yeah.
I mean, this is true in all domains. Like you're focused on the marketing, I guess. And I'm kind of like, I don't care about the marketing.
Yeah, Bruce is pedantic that way.
Yeah.
He just use that word. And it seems to fit.
I'm sharing a screen right now if
all right, only fair.
So this is Customs and Border Patrol's nationwide statistics for encounters for going from the beginning of the fiscal year, which starts in October, going to total.
This is what I was looking for. Well, I was curious about this.
So Customs and Border Patrol has encountered 2.6 million people year to date, or fiscal year to date. That is an extraordinary large amount of money, or a large amount of people. And the idea that if we're deporting 300,000 in a year, that's 2.2 million people that are still here.
Well, in order for somebody to get deported, they have to commit they have to get on ICE's radar somehow. Most of the time, they're not getting on anybody's radar if they're not committing crimes. That's just the reality. Look, there's lots of people that are illegal here, and you'll never hear a word from them. So then your solution would be then, okay, well, then we're going to go after non-criminals, and we're going to actively seek these people out of their house. And I've heard Trump say stuff like that before, but it's not constitutional. You can't do it. You can't break the Constitution to serve those purposes.
You also have to increase this department by like 10x.
Well, yes, that's going to be one of the biggest things, is that the sheer size of the people needed in order to perform a deportation of 30 million plus supposed non-documented worker or people that are in the States would be a immense undertaking. Not to mention the legal challenges that would be clogged up throughout the judicial system before something happens, whether it adjudicates one way or the other.
So I guess in practice, if Obama's administration was focused on getting rid of the criminals, and then those numbers go down, what did Trump do specifically to change it, where we're having these big drop-offs in numbers? And the only logical conclusion of that is that he's so effed off the immigration system over here that everything that used to be expedited is put on the back burners, and you have this huge backlog of cases that we're never going to get to, and that these people are still here. And under the old system where they may have been deported within a matter of weeks, well, now it's taking a matter of years. That just seems counterproductive to what they were trying to do. But folks, I got to wrap this up because my wife is going to get mad at me because it's like 6:33 and I'm still streaming, and she's going to be like, "You're supposed to be coming home and you're over here messing around with your internet friend." It's like my internet friends and my side piece, Brad.
You can call me your cyber girl.
Oh, boy.
I think I am drunk.
Oh,
off of
Maybe
that,
not.
that
Well,
huge
Lauren,
mug
you've
of
filled up that
bourbon.
whole cup with bourbon. What the heck?
No, I poured it back in the bottle. So
Oh,
I
so
only
she
had
Mhm.
I filled it up to
How
like
much of it?
here, and then I had a second one of the
Uh-huh.
same amount.
Hey,
Oh boy.
that Woodford.
But I'm not used to drinking 90 proof liquor.
she had 4 fingers worth in 2 glasses.
Oh no.
I'll tell you what though, the 90 proof that Woodford Reserve goes down clean. It's my conversational whiskey.
Mhm.
I shouldn't
It's
talk
really-
to anybody right now.
You got to get Lauren off. the
Only if
screen
you want to tell them all
Wait.
your secrets.
when she
I
starts
need
twerking.
I need you to play the thing that I am sharing because I was making a joke in the comments and I think it's so funny.
Oh, do it.
Yeah, no, I said this is Trump when he's talking about illegal immigrants.
Oh
Holy.
jeez.
Hang on.
Not Antoine.
Fuck yeah, Antoine's awesome.
Oh.
This is my favorite song. This is my jam.
We have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife,
And hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here.
You don't have to come and confess.
Oh,
We're
boy.
looking for you. We gon' find.
You get the gist.
Lauren was literally twerking in her chair.
Oh, you don't want to see me twerk.
All right, folks. It's been fun, man. I love you all. I got to get going. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hey, I forgot. Hey, Pam, thank you so much for the 10. She's telling me to open Lauren's link.
You got it. We're good.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Pam always has my back, man. Love her. But hey, we'll do this again. Hey, Brad. I was going to declare victory in the battle.
Yeah.
I can't be the judge of that.
You guys
But
were
we'll do this
battling?
again. No, we're just
it's,
talking.
It's not a battle. It's just a conversation of ideas and trying to logically process which candidate has a viable path towards their stated goals in different things.
Man, I thought you guys were going to play Beyblades or something.
At some point, Omar will come around to my realization that it doesn't matter who you vote for.
I'm already there. Bruce, I'm already there, man.
I mean, there's a whole slate of other candidates you could vote for. Whether it means anything is up to you.
It really doesn't matter to me for me since I'm in California. My vote has been set.
Right.
So I'm not in a swing state. Your vote only matters in a swing state, apparently.
I think for me, it's less about the candidates and more like I just want like ranked choice voting and vote by mail everywhere. Like,
Could we
give me
get
those
rid of
two
electoral-
things?
I would be so down if they wanted to get rid of the electoral college. I would be so down for that.
That would be
'cause
fine too.
Matter
But I
again.
want those other two things first.
Yeah, I'm for all those things. Hey, Brad, in all fairness, a lot of the stuff you said went over my head, man. You were getting too political for my inebriated self.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was following you.
I'm kidding. No, I was
I got the
following,
point.
but I was focused on my immigration arguments, and so I apologize for the
Happens. No worries.
Yeah, but hey, we'll do this again. But next time we do it, we should play. I don't know. We should play something. I don't want.
Beyblades.
Lauren has
I
the
don't know about
Jackbox
Beyblades.
games.
Whatever the F Beyblades is, I'm down.
I've got the jackpot games too. So
Oh yeah.
Also, I have chess. If y'all want to go on chess.com. and
we can
challenge-
do we can do poker again.
We'll do poker. We'll do poker, but
No politics on poker.
yeah, we got to have more moderators for poker night because people
More
have
moderators.
a tendency to get blitzed and start going off the rails.
No.
Poker on Fridays only.
I feel like us four could do poker night without incident. I feel like we could.
I don't
Although
know how to play, so I'm just going to be random as fuck. But
I
I'm
need a
down.
rule refresher because I sort of know the hands, but I don't know the exact rules. in
I
terms of,
always
like,
get full house and 3 of a kind screwed up.
Oh, which is higher rank?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a hard one to do.
You're
That's-
supposed to
that's-
try to
house
get
is
like
higher rank, right?
4 to match, right? Like all yeah.
It's
That's the
that's
one,
like
right?
Oh
4
my
of a
gosh,
kind.
Lauren, we got a lot of work to do.
I'm talking about Go Fish, man.
Okay, fish.
that's the third most valuable hand in poker, next to flush, next to a royal flush or straight
So,
flush.
I know everything.
Anyway, last time I played, everybody could see my cards, and so I wasn't really playing. I was moderating. I spent that night moderating. That's what I did. And trying to protect Brad because they were coming after Brad because he was defending Trump. And I was like, Brad, I'm so sorry. They're
Yeah.
coming from.
You see,
But,
I'm used to it though. Like even when I was in high school, I was in the politics class, and my buddy and I, he introduced me to Ann Coulter, and I was reading Ann Coulter's book. And my politics teacher, who was like this Guatemalan guy, was super fascinated by the fact that I was reading this Ann Coulter book, and we would talk about politics. And I found this really obscure website that allowed you to play fantasy with Congress. So you could like draft your team of Congress people, and if they introduced legislation that eventually got passed, you got points and whatnot.
Like fantasy football.
Yeah.
Fantasy is that Mitch McConnell? Jesus Christ.
It was super like weird and geeky, but like I had picked Lisa Murkowski and she did something, so I was up like 70 points.
Dude, Ann Coulter is a vampire. There's no way that she's like 70 years old looking like that. Isn't she like 70? She's like in her 60s at least.
Yeah. But I mean, it's gaming.
Late
It's
50s.
It's not porn.
Well,
Porn.
I was trying to give Ann Coulter props on her, I don't know, her skincare routine. She looks really good for 70.
She looks better than Cher. I mean,
Alright.
she's only 62.
Oh, well, 62 then. Lethals, Laura's like, yeah, she's mid.
No, I love a MILF, but she's not for me.
Gotcha. I think that she's expired from the MILF stage. She's a.
She had the high cheekbones before it became super popular.
Huh? What?
Folks, on that note, I got to wrap this up, man. I'm in so much trouble. I love where we started, where we ended. It's always a fun journey on the show. All right,
you
folks.
sluts.
Wait, so I gotta go cougar hunting for myself and Lauren now. This is like double work. Oh man.
You would do that for me? That's so cute.
I would.
I'm coming to Oregon.
All right, folks. You guys have a wonderful night. We will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
See ya.